This video is sponsored by Mubi. In this age of mass social media, any photo is going to be lost in a sea of indistinguishable content. Such is the reality of a digital artist. Be it film, music, or digital photography, nothing I create has an original copy. Your digital copy contains the exact data as the copy I have on my hard drive. So we crop, compress, and watermark our photos, all to preserve the one-of-a-kind status of our digital creations. Our unique access to the original copy grants us proof of our authorship. For when someone sees the original, they see its connection to its singular creator. So I did it on film. I arrived at a quiet corner of Montreal east of the St. Lawrence River. The afternoon sun inched its way towards the water. I waited. Okay, I might have allocated too much time for waiting. Good thing I have this. Yeah, these days, Mubi is pretty much my go-to streaming platform. Most streaming platforms these days are filled with movies I have already watched, together with films I have no interest in. Mubi is the only one that consistently introduces me to new and exciting films, thanks to their curated catalog. Sometimes I find myself just happy browsing and discovering new movies from around the world. I can read about the synopsis, Mubi's take on the film, critics' review, and user reviews all in one place. This is how I, when browsing from Canada, discovered Breathless, a 2008 South Korean crime film that is grungy in both style and story. It's also how I rediscovered my Blueberry Night, Wong Kar-wai's English language film, which I have forgotten about. If you also enjoy discovering new films, you can try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/accentercinema. That's MUBI/accentercinema for a whole month of great films. Whether you are a fan of world cinema or just a cinephile who wants more, Mubi deserves your attention. So give it a try today, explore and experience the world of cinema. In Chinese mythology, the world began as a formless, shapeless void. From this primordial chaos born a titan who grew for 18,000 years until he became tall enough to separate the heaven from the earth, bringing order to the world. In some versions, he inhaled and created winter, he exhaled and created summer. In other versions, his breathing created wind, his voice created thunder. Like any myth of ancient origins, details change over time. But amongst all versions, there is one constant. His two pupils created the sun and the moon. It seemed too obvious of a connection. As we gaze upon the two celestial bodies, they seem to watch over us. The familiarity blinds us to the hidden cosmic serendipity. This is what solar eclipses look like on Mars. Both Martian moons are too small to eclipse the sun in its totality. The next planet with moons, Jupiter, has the opposite problem. At its distance, the sun is but a speck in the sky, making solar eclipse a non-event. Indeed, we are the only planet in this solar system to see the sun and the moon as a matching pair. The illusion requires a lot of coincidences. Our moon is freakishly large for the size of our planet. He's hypothesized that its creation was caused by a collision between a rogue planet and proto-Earth. The violent impact threw large parts of Earth into orbit, resulting in a very large moon. It is approximately 400 times smaller than the Sun, but also, by sheer coincidence, 400 times closer to us. Thus, they looked the same size. We live in a special place. But as the moon orbits the Earth, it also inches away from us. In about 600 million years, it will no longer be able to eclipse the Sun in its totality. Thus, we also live in a special time. If there are indeed alien civilizations out there, or if there arises a future civilization on Earth, they will likely not share the same myth as us. In a cosmic sense, this myth is incredibly human. Though the eclipse technically lasted over 2 hours, I realized much of it would be uneventful to our unsuspecting ancestors. Despite being partially covered, the Sun remained overpowering. Even if you attempt to look at it, you never realize it was missing a piece, not without specialized equipment or careful observation. It wasn't until the Sun was 2/3 of the way gone that the world began to change. A sepia tone suddenly took over the air, which itself had grown more restless and cold. Soon, the world felt visibly dimmer, like a TV with brightness turned low, like an underexposed photograph. The mismatch between crisp afternoon shadows and dust-level luminosity confused my mind. It was an optical illusion we were not evolved to deal with. I suppose this is when ancient people freaked out. Much like most of the world, ancient China also saw eclipses as a sign of evil omen. But beyond that superstition, there is also an adorable myth. Chinese folktale says that eclipses, both lunar and solar, were caused by a heavenly dog. This gluttonous doggo would sometimes chow down on the sun or the moon. People would then bang on their gongs, drums, or anything that makes loud noises until the ruckus scares the dog away. In fact, that's what Chinese people call an eclipse, a sun or a moon eaten. That said, Chinese scholars have known the mechanism behind eclipses since at least the Warring States period. Solar eclipses only ever happened during a new moon. It wasn't exactly hard to guess why. For as long as China has existed, Chinese historians have been obsessively recording the history of eclipses. Predictions were also made, but without a precise understanding of orbital mechanics, the results were more or less a crapshoot. Nevertheless, there was an understanding of patterns and a pursuit of a scientific explanation. It seems like a paradox to see eclipses as both a natural phenomenon and also a sign of the gods. But science and superstitions have always coexisted, even today. It makes more sense when you realize mythology isn't a form of science, but a form of art. For science observes the world to explain reality, but mythology is humans attributing their own souls onto the natural world. We have a doggo down here, there must be a doggo up there too. That said, eclipses on Earth truly do feel magical. Again, one glance at a Martian eclipse and you know exactly what is in front of the sun. But solar eclipses on Earth feel very much like the sun is disappearing on its own. This feeling persisted despite my knowledge of the underlying mechanics. I instinctively want to believe. This desire, brief as it may be, collectively fueled our mythology for thousands of years. "3 minutes before totality, a thin film of golden glow arose from the horizon. So quiet was the world now, I feel like the last person on Earth. I had this strange urge to yell, 'Is anyone there?' and hear the echoes of my own voice, confirming my isolation. In this dream, I contemplated. In a scene from Dune Part 2, you see a solar eclipse on the planet Arrakis. Despite being an alien planet with 2 moons, the sun and one of the moons in this world also happen to have the same apparent size. Even funnier is Rogue One, in which an eclipse occurs when the Death Star moves in front of a sun. There is no reason for them to have the same exact size other than for its visual splendor. Eclipses that don't look Earth-like are exceedingly rare in films. Avatar: The Way of Water features a pretty unique one, in which the sun is eclipsed by a planet viewed from a moon. But otherwise, human stories overwhelmingly prefer the perfect totality seen on Earth, either due to familiarity or because we think this is as good as it gets, which is fair. I wonder if an ancient Martian were to depict an eclipse, would they also choose a perfect totality for its beauty, or would they think it's too contrived, too improbable? I have always held on to the belief that life is common across the universe, but civilization is not. After all, life emerged as soon as Earth was habitable, but the genus Homo is the only one to build civilizations. It's a mundane answer to the Fermi paradox, but the mundanity is why it's so real to me. Civilization is this fragile thing. A ship can slow its progress. One madman's ego can destroy us all. The universe is vast. It's unlikely we are alone. But in our own Milky Way, within the reasonable expanse, we may be alone. We have this beautiful view and no one to share. Just like solar eclipses on Earth, we too may just be a beautiful, fleeting sight. A one-of-a-kind cosmic coincidence in this galaxy. And this is it, the proof of my existence. It's a one-of-a-kind thing, exists in reality. Yet this little existence is also fragile. Its color will begin to fade after 10 years, and the image will deteriorate in about 50. But that is the nature of existence, isn't it? A special something, in a special place, at a special time. It doesn't matter how many digital photos you see. It doesn't matter how realistic our AI-generated fantasy is. It does not replace the fleeting reality of existence. With this, I can proclaim, however briefly, I existed.